ladies and gentlemen, we are honored today to have Miss Carin, the co-founder of CoffeeSpace and ex-University of Pennsylvania. It's an absolute pleasure to have you with us today, Carin.
And I'm excited to be here too. So
All
thank
right,
you.
amazing, cool. So yes, Carin, so you're currently in San Francisco, aren't you? Just kind of like hanging out by like an orchard, what seems right there, and there's even a statue right next to you.
Okay, so I'm at my partner's parents' place. So they have a really nice garden with fruits and vegetables, which is like what you see. But, but it's not very
Wow.
common in San Francisco. We are like an hour and a half away from it. So just for the weekend. But
I see.
yeah.
Cool, 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 cool. Well, all right. So thank you once again for taking time out of your awesome weekend right here. And yeah, so let's go right ahead and start. So Pathways focuses on showcasing in many cases so incredible education success stories. So the hope is to well inspire is one part, but like also to give people an idea of like what people have done like throughout the course of their lives with their education, what motivated them to do the things that they did, and well, how it's influencing their kinds of decisions even in the present day. So maybe just to start out, Carin, could you maybe share a little bit about your educational background and I guess like how that's led you to do the things that you've come to do?
Yeah, so I mean, I grew up in Malaysia. I think we covered that part. Actually went through Chinese school education for pretty much 11 years of my life. So
Mm.
primarily speaking Chinese. And then I went through A levels. Like I think a lot of Malaysians, I was very much interested to study in the UK. But by chance, I went to USF, which is US alum coming back to host a conference and like telling us about the experience. And because of that workshop itself, I fundamentally changed my direction to apply to the US. Because when I was there, I was very impressed by how all these alums actually carry themselves. Because think about it, I was like 17 years old. I could not speak in front of a crowd. I don't think I could communicate effectively. I remember, going to a competition and we did all the case competition preparation and I thought we did well, but at the moment that I was on the stage, I almost couldn't like say a word and I realized how bad that was. And then, now I had a chance to look at like all these US alums coming back and how they carry themselves. And I was like, for me to get from where I was to like how they
Mm.
are standing right there, I feel like US is the best shot because I know that going into the UK, yes, I would have like exposure and opportunities as well. But there is something different because I think UK is very academic based, which is like amazing if you want to do like sciences, you want to do like English, you want to do like engineering, very focused stuff. But if you really want to polish on your soft skills and you think
Mm.
that that's what you want in university, I think US sort of like brings that out of you a little more. Like they sort of like force it out of you. That's what I feel.
Wow. I did not expect you to cite that as an example. It's like literally like I went to US apps and then the people were speaking well. And boom, I
Yes,
decided that
exactly.
completely changed my life trajectory. What?
Yeah.
Okay, that is truly incredible. Wow, okay. Maybe like dialing back a little bit. So then you are from Malaysia, but like which part of Malaysia were you originally from?
PJ, like
PJ.
Selangor. Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. So like you could have been my neighbor.
Yeah, so like
Fascinating. Okay.
I went to Catholic high school, which is like 99% Chinese. So we speak Chinese
Okay.
99% of the time.
Okay. Cool, cool, cool. And then
No, I went to Sunway actually.
Sunway.
Because
Okay.
back then I
Understood.
want to pursue math, and at least my seniors told me they have a really good math program, and that was
I
where
see,
I
I see.
went.
I
Yeah.
see. Cool, cool, cool. Okay, so then all right. Now let's move on to discussing Penn then. So
Mhm.
maybe could you tell me a little bit about what led you specifically to Penn and then what led you to study computer science there? Because I think that you finished at Wharton, right? So that's more often known, at least to the general public, as the finance school, so to speak. But of course, like there's a liberal arts aspect to any US education. But maybe would you
Yeah.
share a little bit about like what was going through your mind as you decided to go for it?
I applied to Penn, which is like Warren specifically, because I wanted to do finance when I first entered university. That was what I went with. And in my freshman year, there is like everything is finance. I was in the Warren Investment and Trading Club. I was like, I think in like Women in Finance. And then I did an internship in Bank Negara for my freshman year. And then I actually took one computer science class in like freshman fall just because I have to be honest because everyone is taking it. So I was like, maybe I should try it out. And I actually did terribly at it. Like, I think I got a C minus in my first computer science class. And at the end of the computer science class, I decided that this is not for me and I wasn't going to pursue computer science. And then in that summer, I went back for an internship. Um, and I I actually did not enjoy the internship that much. I'm not someone who really like the corporate culture. Like, I know it's not a big thing and like it's something that people like. It's like to put on a business attire and like feel smart. I absolutely hated that. like like oh my god, I cannot. And then
So
I was like,
wholesome.
oh, do I want to do finance? Like I literally need to put on a corporate suit for like 30 years of my life. And I also didn't really like the finance culture. I think when I was back at Penn, like freshman year finance culture was very competitive. I think everyone is just trying to like overtake everyone, and I kind of did not like that as much. And coincidentally, I met another intern in Back Nagaro who was really big in computer science and machine learning. And like throughout that summer, he was just telling me about like all the potential things that like, computer science and machine learning can bring. And this is back in like what, 2017, which is like
Mhm.
it's already a thing people are talking about, but now 2023, it's like, it's even a much bigger thing. I need to learn more about this. I don't want to be displaced by like whatever that can be happening. So I actually went back to Penn and I decided that I would take a second computer science class and see how it goes. And actually, surprisingly, it went much better than I thought. Maybe my expectation bar was just low at the beginning. I was like, I
Mm,
already got a C minus. Like, how much
mm.
worse can it get? So I took my second class and it went really well. And I realized it's just that I struggle a lot with it because a lot of people sort of came into the first class having some background, and computer science is like math. If you haven't done any math for like first 20 years of your life, and suddenly I'm asking you to do like x plus y equals 10, and then you'll be like, what is x and what is plus y? And that was me in my first class. By the second class, you sort of get the hint of it, and then you just be like, oh, I understand a little more. And then you sort of like train the muscle in it and get
Oh
better at
yeah.
it.
Oh yeah.
That was like my experience. And then after that, it's just like history. Yeah.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is that like x plus y equals 10 is actually an unsolvable problem.
Yeah, I guess you need a second
It's
equation.
technically an unsolvable problem, like a buff that cannot be defeated.
X plus y
Okay,
equals 10 and x plus y equals y. I don't know.
okay. So what's x? What's y? Okay, infinite solutions. All
I feel
right, cool,
like
cool.
Uni of Chicago loves that kind of question. No, they are going to ask
They
you that essay
no,
question of
they
like,
actually
what
did
is
ask
X?
that question. It's like, what is x? I think I might have actually done that for like my whole
Oh my
essay.
God. That's the only reason why I did not apply to Uni of Chicago because I was like, I cannot write that piece of essay. I don't like,
Weirdos, weirdos. One weirdo right here speaking to you.
I love
Amazing.
it.
Okay, so then kind of moving on then. So, all right. So you had a good experience in a computer science class. And
Yeah.
do you remember actually like which class that was?
It was like foundation of computer science too. It's
Ah, Foundation
very
of Computer
literal.
Science 2. Okay, by all
Yeah.
means. Cool, cool, cool. Well, so I guess then can you go from like that point onwards when you were just taking that class onto
Mm.
thinking more and more, right? That somehow or another, this career in technology was something that was not only possible, but also desirable for you. Because like you went from that C minus right there over to working at
Mm.
Facebook, now Meta.
Mm-hmm.
I saw that in the LinkedIn post. And then eventually going on to where you are right now, working at CoffeeSpace along the way. So then, like you did mention in a hugely popular LinkedIn post that basically you wanted to study at Stanford's MSCS. You expressed regret for essentially not being able to do that. But then I guess maybe can you share, I guess, how like your thoughts have been changing over the course of time as they lead into, I guess, like where you are at the moment?
I don't know if my mindset changes a lot. I think one of the things computer science shaped a student, it's the way they are able to break down big problems or complex problems into like small solvable solution. And I think that it's very important in entrepreneurship because basically you are just going up there and be like, okay, this is a problem and this is a big problem to solve, but then like you can't
Mm,
just have a big solution because it means you need a lot of capital, you need a lot of people, and you need a lot of time. But then what is the first thing that you can do? And in that first complex thing, how can you break down even smaller to become like achievable step to like get it out there? And like it trains your muscle to like just solve complex problems into like simple executable steps. And I think that was like really helpful in terms of like thinking about things. But I think the other hand, the computer science classes, they always have this final project at every single class. Let's say if it's like
mm,
networking class or like operating system class, at the end of the class, they always give you an option to do a final coursework that
mm,
allows you to combine your own creativity and the class curriculum to build something of your own. And for me, that was always the fun part because it's like now you get your own ideas and you actually
mm.
want to execute it in the real world. And like
Mm,
they just give you that sort of like opportunity again and again and again. And
mm,
I thought I really liked that. And I think that sort of influenced me into be like, you know, I have all the skills and like, can I make something for the world? And I can actually sell it to other people? And can I actually bring value to other people in my life and around me?
mm. I see. Okay, cool, cool, cool. Well, speaking then of, I guess, bringing value into life at large. So then, of course, like education is one of those things that maybe changes, like, the things that we, well, value, the things that like we choose to act upon in some way. So how do you feel, I guess, that your education, and I'm being very broad here,
Yeah.
not encompassing just like your time at Penn, but even like now. I guess like how has your education shaped the way that you now value things? And feel free to be as abstract as you want to be, like the things that you value, the things that you want to promote, maybe. I mean,
Oh,
yeah.
that is a tricky one. It really depends on like what angle I want to take from. I think Penn does open me up to like a lot of more different perspectives that I had back in Malaysia just because they have a very diverse student body and like understanding like you know Malaysia, it's a developing nation, we have our own struggles, but at the same time we are not at a very like worst landscape. Like whenever I get that a lot of Malaysians, especially who goes abroad, would complain about going back home, you know, there's like no opportunity or every and things so on. But like I think we should also be grateful that like, you know, our education have brought us this far in life, and like that 12 years of public education, like, you know, really formulate a lot of our character and like bring us to like different points in life. So I think Malaysia did a decent job. Like whether I can do a better job, hopefully so. um, Actually, I lost track of the question. How did that affect my mindset in life? Um, make me a lot more grateful, I think, for like what I have right now.
Mm,
What I had back then, and like how I can contribute in the future.
I see.
It actually ties along well with like what we have been building thus far. It started off just a TLDR, so you know, I know we're not going into that. We started off a mentorship right when we started our startup because we were like, how do we help more students like get like find their career path in life? Because for
Mm,
a lot of us, it's not a very direct story. Like for me, it changes over time and again. I wanted to do before I wanted to do finance, I wanted to become a doctor, and then I wanted to become an engineer, and then I wanted to do finance, and then I wanted to do political science, and before I
it's
go
like,
into computer
I'm
science.
not sure.
Like it's like that there are so many pathways, and it's okay. It's okay to take time to explore and
Right
learn. And
on. Mm,
you know, everyone sort of needs a mentor and a coach, depending on like how you frame it, like someone to guide you. But it's not always easy to find that person. It's literally by chance of like who you meet. If you meet a
Mm-hmm.
good person, they bring you far in life, or like wherever you want to be. If you don't meet that person, you are stuck for a long time. That is what I feel. Like
Mm-hmm.
even right now, sometimes I feel very stuck in my entrepreneurship journey because I
Mm-hmm.
don't have a coach that has, been there, done that, being like, these are all the 10 mistakes that, you shouldn't
Mm-hmm.
do. And like, I feel like I have to go through the motion of making the mistakes to actually learn, which is not a bad thing. It just takes a longer time.
Right, right. Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, that's what we started off when we first built our startup. And then it sort of shifted into, for a business perspective, it was a bit too wide. So we shifted into the startup community on like how advising one another as an entrepreneur, like how can we create more opportunities in the world? How do you actually help founders to break out of the starting cycle? Because it's
Right on.
hard to get from 0 to 1, and like we need to support one another.
Mm-hmm.
And right now we zoomed in a little more into like what are all the problems that like early founders have. And
Mm-hmm.
two things that always comes up, it's looking for a co-founder or business partner or fundraising. And we decided to focus on the first one just because we have a little more edge in that. We already have a community of that, and most of the people are early founders. And like looking into that problem and projecting it into the future, what if we can create a world where, like everyone has an idea, actually have a chance to like bring it to the table? Like
Right on. Mm-hmm.
one parallel that like we always, like surface up, it's like 10 years ago, like when dating app first started, like it's pretty bad. Everyone hates it. It's like desperate people and like the creepy people goes on it. No one
Mm-hmm.
wants to use the dating app. Everyone, find love through
Indeed.
introductions or everyone around you. But like 10 years later,
Arranged
I mean,
marriage.
it's
Sorry. Sorry. Couldn't resist.
yeah, but
It is a thing,
10
though. It's a
years,
thing. Yes.
it is a thing. It is a thing. But 10 years later, it just got a lot more better. Like, I met my partner through online dating. I know a lot of people who got married through online, like, they met their partner through online dating. And I think it just opened you up to like
Mm-hmm.
different circles that you could never overlap. And similarly, it's like, right now meeting the right business partner, it's hard, or like it's just like by introduction. What if we can build something that 10 years down the road, like,
Okay.
if people have an idea, it doesn't have to be a startup. Like everyone has ideas to like create something for the, whether you're a creator, whether you're an influencer, whether you're a writer, whether like you're doing a YouTuber, like everyone wants to create something of their own, but sometimes you just need one partner to like go forward together.
Mm-hmm.
Can you bring that to the world? And that's what we want to
Amazing.
do.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. I'm going to ask a seemingly unrelated question, or rather two seemingly unrelated questions, but the connection will become apparent soon. First of all, was it coffee meets bagel? And second of all, is it the reason that you call it coffee space?
Actually, no. I think okay. So when we have the mentorship platform, it was like a free model, and like because we want to appreciate mentors' time, so we were like we want to send a token of appreciation, but we don't
Mm,
want to say token or like money because it feels transactional. So it
mm.
sort of replicate like bringing out people for a coffee chat and then like
Ah, I
actually
see, I
giving
see.
them a coffee.
I
So it's
see.
actually meant to be a virtual coffee in that sense. And
Got
then
it.
it sort of transformed into like, okay, this is the coffee space where we all, have
Amazing.
coffee chats and like hang out and like talk to one another. So
Mhm.
it's more coffee chat related than coffee meets bagel related.
Not
I actually
not
never
coffee
thought
meets
about that until you say that. I was like, oh that shit, that's interesting.
yeah, I was wondering. Okay, cool. Well, all right. Well, to draw on a more general question of how education has I guess affected the kinds of decisions that you've made, then I guess, do you feel that there are some educational principles or practices that you apply in maybe building coffee space, or maybe you could even speak about, like, say, specific skills that you found useful in doing so? Although, of course, like, like the range of possible things that you could talk about would probably be huge. Like, you've worked at Facebook, you've studied computer science as well.
Mhm.
And I do have a follow up question about that a little bit later on, but maybe if you could maybe speak a little bit about your educational experience at maybe Penn first. Do you feel like there are certain things that you learned that, well, affected the way that you are building this business at the moment?
Mm, how does my education at Penn affecting how I'm conducting the business? I think both taught me to be really humble.
Okay.
I think going into Penn, I struggled a lot freshman year because of communication, and then like further on like sophomore to like senior year,
Mm,
it's just everyone, it's really good at what they do. And I feel like most of the time I'm decently good at things I do, but I was never a master at one thing. And I was always humbled by like whenever I meet someone and they are just amazing at like, what they are passionate in. And it really taught me that the world is a really large place. Like
mm,
you meet a lot of smart and interesting people, and like while you're not that great at all, you still have your own niche. So like don't be overly proud of yourself. That's what I learned for
mm,
myself. But at the same time, still be confident that like you stand for something and you're good at something and you can keep on polishing whatever you're good at.
mm,
And I think similarly in business, I think I've taken a lot of punches, like metaphorically. Like I failed again and again in like a lot
mm,
of things, and like knowing that like whatever education, whatever work experience that I have, yes, it means that I can build something, but then what is it I really like? What value can I actually bring to people? It's when I actually care about people's problem. It's not how amazing the product is built, but like how well the product can serve people in terms of solving their problems. Like you have to really go down to the basic and like having empathy and like understanding like your user's
mm,
pain and like put yourself in their shoes instead of like standing from a business perspective.
mm,
Both of the experience taught me to be really humble, and
mm.
it's just like everyone, like I believe like I'm just an average individual like trying out new things and like trying to learn every day, and I think that's what
Mm.
both of that have like influenced me. Yeah.
I see. Cool. Mm, I guess how would you say that your time at Facebook, now Meta, like ended up
Mm.
influencing the way that you, I guess, like do things at the moment? And on balance, would you say that, if you were to kind of like tease apart maybe like your time at
Mm.
Penn versus your time at Facebook versus your time at I guess like Council Lab leading on eventually to CoffeeSpace, what would you say that the time at Facebook contributed towards I guess like your current worldview or like the way that you do things?
Mm. I think Facebook experience has just exposed me to more technical related stuff. I think my stint there is a little short. I was there 1.5 years plus 3 months of internship, so like something less than 2 years. A lot of my skills that I learned are technical based. I can really see how large scale production it's like put into place. Um, it helps me a lot in like my engineering decision in my startup, how to build like a stable infrastructure or like having an architecture and um yeah, that part. Sorry, I couldn't go broader into it. I think I was also cut short in terms of experience
Mm,
because I went in there during peak of COVID and I don't think I get the full experience of it.
I see.
I'm a strong believer of like, sort of working in person. Like I value a
Mm,
lot of like in-person interaction.
I see.
Um, and I feel like I could have had that a little more if like it wasn't for COVID.
I
Yeah.
see. You're in good company. Elon Musk believes the same thing. No, yeah, he,
A
he
lot of
literally
people
issued a whole
believe
directive.
the
You're
same
like,
thing.
yo, yeah. Well, that being said, I mean, like, he is your alumnus, I think. So, like, could be a thing
Yes,
to,
he is. Well, a lot of people are our alumnus, both the good side and the bad side.
well,
So
sounds spicy, but who knows? Maybe you'll become like a future Elon Musk, or I don't know.
I don't know if I want to be that.
Well, okay then. So, as we kind of come towards the end of this interview, I guess, are there any areas of for example, technology or, well, study that you find particularly interesting even as you look into the future and as of the present moment?
I don't want to be cliche and be like, AI is big, but it is big. It is
It's pretty
influencing
cool. Remember the
literally
demonstration?
every industry.
Remember the demonstration? Once upon
Yeah,
a
yeah,
time, I
yeah.
did an interview with Carin. Okay, did you get it right? Carin? Is it
Yeah.
Carin or Carin?
Almost there, almost there.
Almost there. Okay. All right.
Um, I, I personally find it interesting because I'm not good at it, quote unquote. I know the surface level of it, but like if you want me to delve into the architecture of it, really fine tuning it, understanding how different model works, I think that part. Sorry, I'm a
Mm,
very technical nerd if you have to like phrase it. So like I need to understand how things fundamentally work.
I
So that
see.
is exciting for me to like learn about, oh, how
Yeah.
can a machine be so intelligent and like what are the basis of it. But in terms of a less niche cliche thing, one specific branch that I thought was super interesting is the intersection of quantum technology and natural language processing. So think
Mhm.
AI times quantum. Um, oh, whoops, there is something happening. Um, but I think they think about AI in a fundamentally different way, and I see a huge potential going forward in it. Um, I can't go into technical details because I'm still learning about it, but I thought it's an exciting thing that people should look out
Mm.
on. I think it's probably like 5, 10 years down the timeline
Oh
that it would be
yeah.
big. Yeah.
Quantum AI, huh? Wow, fascinating.
Yeah.
Yeah, just well, I for one welcome our robot overlords. Please save us. I have, a, I have an ex-Facebook employee here with me, so like yes, like please show affinity towards. Okay, anyway, moving on. Moving on. Okay, so like okay, we'll see, we'll see. Anyway, so moving on. Well, kind of reflecting on your journey so far, what advice would you give to students who are aspiring to, well, become entrepreneurs in the future? Because, like, you see, we have alongside the,
Mm.
well, trend, right, of people studying computer science, for example, in the US, also what seems to be a generation of people who think that, if you drop out, for example, of college, then you will become a Mark Zuckerberg or you will become, for example, a Bill Gates. So your mileage may vary, I would say, but what do you think about that?
I don't know about the fact that if you're a dropout, you're gonna be a next Mark Zuckerberg or Bill Gates. Uh, I kind of feel like it's quite independent of like whether you drop out or not. Um, but we need to know that those people are very entrepreneurial since the beginning of time. It's like even before college. So to be like that, I feel like you better start somewhere. And obviously, if you see traction, then maybe it's a good decision to drop off. I think I've learned over time that like yes, we risk tolerant, but at the same time, take
Mhm.
calculated risk. Especially when you are a student. If I have to give advice on like students who are interested in entrepreneurship, my first advice, it's simple. Just get started. Like somewhere, somehow. It doesn't matter how big or how small your idea is. Um, just execute on it. Go out and talk to people about the idea. You get a gauge on what people think about it and build something about it. Go
Mhm.
launch it. Try to make as many mistakes as you can because you're gonna make a lot of them. So it's
Mm.
just beneficial for you to make it earlier in life than like later in life. So like how can you maximize the most learning at the shortest and earliest time possible? So just
Amazing.
go, yeah, don't have the idea in your head for like, I don't know, 6 months and then like the idea sort of rot in your head. Just go do something about it and like, learn something from it. Like that is the first advice. And the second one closely tied to it is it's okay to fail. Like, oh my God, like everyone that I know like failed so many times. We do experiments probably like 20 times in a month, and we probably like get 19 experiments really wrong, and that one that it's right, we learn a lot about it, and all those that we failed, we learn even more about it, and that push you to the next 20 experiments.
Mm,
It's about taking small risks and like getting insights from them and like just keep on learning. To be a successful entrepreneur, I feel, because I'm not one yet, so I don't know, but my view is that you need to keep failing and keep learning, and you have to be really okay with failure. Like,
mm,
don't even think about like 100 rejections. Think about like 1,000 rejections. That's probably like the low average of it. So just get used to it. And I think the
mm,
third, if you can, have a community, because it's hard. Like every single day is not just about like rejection from like your customers, also rejection from your investor, and then um there's just so many times that like things are gonna beat you down, and like having a community really helps. Like every single time I meet other founder, it feels like a founder therapy, because like everyone is just going through bad times all the time, and that's normal. Like you don't have to feel like you're not doing well, because everyone has to go through that period before they get towards something. It's
mm.
like a mandatory rite of passage.
Well, all right. So thank you so much for sharing that. Well, okay. My last question for you then is, well, I'd like you to now reflect on like the kinds of things that you did, even when you were a student right here. Think
Mm,
about what was pushing you to do well in your education. Like what was motivating you to like fight every single day to the point whereby you even got like the JPA scholarship, if I'm not wrong. And then
mm.
eventually went on to Penn and went on to do many of the things that you're doing right now. I guess what was pushing you at the time, and what kinds of lessons do you feel that that time can potentially offer to people who might be interested in taking a similar path to the one that you did?
What was pushing me? That is a good question. It feels good when you're good at something, I feel. It's it's an
I
inherent
agree.
satisfaction. Like even if you play video games, like when you get really good at it, like you're happy, right? So like just pick one thing that you want to get good at and just try to get really good at it. Like it's the satisfaction that will just make you get better and better at it.
I
Start small,
see.
like have a small win, and roll that into a bigger and bigger win. Every time I take a hit, I just go for a small thing, like whether it's like going for a climb, going for a hard hike, and then I take that small win and translate into like other parts of my life, and make sure that like that snowball into other wins. Um, yeah, it's
Along the
just
way.
how I
Cool.
take things, I guess. Yeah. But before we end this, can I just say something?
Go
I
for it.
think one thing I've learned is don't take advice too seriously. So like whatever advice that I give, uh take it with a grain of salt. Like I've learned that entrepreneurship journey or life journey, it's all self-discovery process, and like, my advice only literally works for me.
Mm,
And it's nice to listen to perspective, but like everyone's advice belong to themselves, because like their journey is like unique to their own, and it might not be like, your journey, whoever you are listening to. So yeah, like don't take this too seriously. Keep it
yes,
open.
indeed. Or maybe we'll find a whole like church of Carin worshippers like next Sunday. Oh wait, it is Sunday. So
Oh, it's already for me. It's already for
oh,
me.
oh, okay. All right. Well, thank you so much, Carin. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much for taking the time. And yeah,
You.
so yeah. Are there any like final things that you want to say?
Not on record. All right, you can kind of part off.
Thank you so much.